everybody? Andrew Taylor here. We got a special guest today, Harold Durana. Harold, thank you for coming in.
Yep.
I'm excited to have you, dude. So to start, you're in Vegas right now. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, we have a lock-in coming up starting tomorrow. We're going to run from Thursday to Sunday. Got about 45, almost 50 people coming out, and, you know, everybody's going to work.
And what can you tell everybody what a lock-in is?
Yeah, absolutely. So lock-in, I mean, in general, it could be done in an office. Ideally, you'd want to do it in an Airbnb where everybody's together. Okay, so everybody's staying at the Airbnb together. We got a little more people than we thought, so we had to get two. But one of the houses is huge, so got everybody coming in. And basically, because we're all telesales, we don't ever get to really see each other in person except for like conference or convention. But getting everybody out together, all working together, you know, we plan on doing little breakout groups so that we're gonna have people work with, you know, somebody that, or next to somebody that they don't normally, you know, work with. So
yeah, that's cool, man. So I want to talk about telesales because there's a lot of people that are thinking about getting in the industry, and I think that COVID changed the way we do business because we realized we can sell over the phone instead of going and seeing everybody in person.
Yep.
You kind of led the way on that. You were always down with telesales.
Yeah.
But dude, you've been killing it. Like, how many policies do you think you guys are writing a month?
As a team, we do 1,000.
1,000 sales per month.
Yeah.
All over the phone.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Everything over the phone. I think we have an occasional Zoom here, here and there. Like when we do like huge like IULs or like annuities, you gotta get on there with the client.
So since we've started doing telesales, I've recruited a lot more people because they can stay home.
Yep.
And they can work around their current job if they have one.
Yep. And
they can call leads. We'll talk a little bit about what you're doing. But they can call leads. It doesn't matter if they have a health issue because they can. And this is where I see a big opportunity. Like if you got a single mom and she can't go travel around and sell insurance, she can at home.
Yep.
If you have somebody who needs to make more money and they have a full-time job, they could, on the weekends, they could clock in for 4 or 5 hours. They can run appointments on the phone.
Yeah.
And some of the extra income if somebody can figure out, obviously it's commission only, so you have to make sales to make money, but it can really make a huge difference for a family.
Yeah.
So something cool, you know, my Uncle Jimmy. So he tried doing this when you had to travel around and he didn't like it.
Yeah.
You had to drive all over the place to try to run appointments. Then after COVID, I was like, dude, you don't have to do that anymore. You could do it over the phone. So now he loves doing it. And then my mother-in-law just got her license.
Okay, dang.
And Uncle Jimmy started helping her. And on her first day, she made her first sale from home.
Can't beat it.
And I'm like, dude, what an amazing opportunity. But I want to talk about the good and the bad that somebody can expect if they're going, hey, I want to sell life insurance and I want to do telesales. So can you go into the way commissions work if someone were to work with you, but also can you talk about chargebacks, and also can you talk about like what type of lead investment you're putting in order to get these numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. So like commissions wise, let's just assume 100% carrier contract. Your 100% contract, let's say you write a $100 a month premium. It's $100 a month, $1,200 a year. The carriers, I guess like an industry standard there is a 75% advance. So 75% advance, $900 is what you would be advanced, assuming that 100% contract level. Okay. Then after the policy, once it reaches that month number 10, 11, and 12, that's when the carriers release the remaining balance as far as what's owed to you, which in this example would be $300. So month number 10, there's another 100. Month number 11, another 100. Month number 12, another 100. So when you get to month number 12, you're made whole at the full 1,200.
Okay. And then what kind of, like, you were telling me before we started, there's a team, a bunch of young guys.
Yeah.
and they're doing about 150 policies a month, and they just started.
Yep.
What kind of leads are like? What type of investment are they putting in to hit those numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. So, got a new team. They're 2 months in. Working with a guy's name is Ion Beg. Came from a practice company, and he runs a very tight ship, which is pretty cool, right? He has a baseline manager. Came in here with 20 people, and some of them no experience, brand new, maybe in the industry for maybe even a month, 2 months in. And it's funny when you were talking about telesales, some of them don't even have a car, so can't beat that, right? And they're working all age mortgage, all the way through and through, bronze and silver, at $1, $2, $3 leads, and all they're doing is dialing. And our team, we do have a CRM system, and for the automations, everybody's doing it now.
Yeah, you can text a customer and it'll just let them schedule an appointment with you. What percentage of the customers do that?
A fairly good amount. I would say probably like 30% of the time out the gate. Some of them it takes a little bit of time, maybe like second, third, or whatnot, text message, or even you just responding back, because they, some clients will respond and say, like, what is this? And just you being able to respond back to that properly to be able to schedule the appointment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a few things. If somebody works with you, you put them through an initial training before they're calling.
Yep, absolutely.
What does that look like?
Yeah. So we have an online-based, self-paced type of training. Now, with that, even out the gate, that already tells us whether or not somebody's serious or not, if they can't even get through a self-paced in a timely manner, right? If they're like, 2 weeks out and they're like, I'm still not done. Like, it should really only take you about 3, 4, 5 days max. It gives you the baseline of everything, products, how to use quote tools and whatnot. Basically, the objective is that when you are listening to presentations, you actually know what they're talking about, like what the agent's talking about, somebody's talking about, so that you're not lost. So they go through that process, learn it. We do a team Zoom. They listen to people, talk to clients. Now, from there, it's just learning a proper presentation, okay? So they got to practice their proper presentation. They have to know their proper presentation. They need to know how to use the tools. Now, before an agent goes into the field and they're on their own, or not field, over the phone, before they're on their own, they have to pass a release meeting. That's what we call it, a release. So they're going to sit with the manager. It's a mock presentation. We act as if we're a client. We give them rebuttals as if they're a client. We ask, left field questions, crazy questions, things that come up in an actual presentation to see how the agent handles it. And, the way I've always looked at it is it makes no sense for me to put somebody in the field if you're not ready, right? To have you start talking to clients, because number one, it's not fair to you, right? As an agent, you have no idea what you're talking about. And then you're going to get frustrated. And that's when you want to quit, because it's frustrating because you don't know what you're doing. And then most importantly, it's not fair to the client, right? Agent doesn't know what they're doing, can't give you a proper, presentation, can't give you proper rates. Now you're not only, it's the client, it's the family, right? So you're not doing what you should be doing, which is protecting the family. So,
but there is a time when people prepare too much and they don't take any action.
Absolutely agree.
So how do you prevent that?
Yeah. And it's I'm one of those persons too, to a certain extent, right? I need to know everything before I do it, right? And then that's exactly how our design of our training is. There's things that we know they need to know, so we're like, okay, that's what's exposed to them. And then the things that we're like, you don't really need to know these things, we kind of brush it off, like, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Like, for example, knowing how to do an application, yes, it's important, but do you need to know every single application? Absolutely not. Why? Because we're on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, you're talking to a client, you get they pick a policy that they want to go with. You have over 100 people on Zoom with you, right? You screen share that application, everybody will tell you what to do. And the thing is, too, is during that training process, before you even start talking to clients, you've seen, generally, like on a weekly basis, probably over, 50 policies written every single week. So if you're watching that and you're seeing people fill out applications. Like, you've seen it so many times already. You know, you've seen an application written, all the different ones too, from all the different carriers. So it should be familiar at that point. And then when you're doing it, it's again most of the carriers are the same. Some just ask a little more questions than others, but you already know the baseline. And if you ever run into anything, again, it's on the phone, which is great. You're on Zoom with the team. When you're with the client, it's easy to go and say, hey, give me 1 second. I need to refer to a senior underwriter before I continue. Mute the client. Hey, guys, I'm with a client. Here's what's going on. I'm stuck. What do I do? And you get instant help. Like, can't beat it.
Yeah, that's legit. Okay. So you got training. What's funny is I'm the opposite of you. If there's a new agent in here, I just go, here's a script. Read it 50 times out loud in the mirror. Call these leads. And then let me know when you got somebody.
Yeah.
And well, I'm like the opposite of you, as in, like, I don't prepare for anything.
Yeah.
I just do stuff, and then I'll have to learn it once I'm already in it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, shoot. But, dude, there's a lot of different ways to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? Okay, so you got your training program. Is that hosted on, like, a platform like Teachable, or what is that hosted on?
We just use a generalized online website that they'll go to. They get access to it, and there's videos on there. There's documents on there, things that they're going to read through. We are working on it. We're going to kind of revamp it, make it little
interactive or something.
Yeah, interactive, newer. Okay. So that's literally in the works right now, and that's also with this lock-in. It's going to help us out because we're going to do more videos for training.
Okay, cool. All right. Now, what I was impressed with is the way you operate, almost like you're in an office, but it's virtual.
Yep.
So you have a whole bunch of people in a virtual office, which is Zoom. And then you take people out into other Zoom rooms.
Yep.
If they need help with something, if they have a client on the line.
Yep.
But then also other people can help each other throughout the entire day. How many people are on there every day?
In the morning. So we got East Coast that jumps on. There's probably 15, 20 people like at 8 a.m. East Coast. Then you got the Central, Mountain, and then eventually Pacific we get on there. But at its peak, you'll see about 115, maybe 120 people in there. There's I think there's 32, 33 breakout rooms. They're all labeled something different. So
how many people don't get on? Like, they just don't listen.
We still have a lot. That's what's crazy, right? And I've had to battle with people back and forth about this. It's really interesting. So, you sit with an agent and you're talking to them about what's going on. What exactly are you running into? I'm running into this. I'm running into that. And usually the first thing I do is go, are you on Zoom? Like, they'll call me and I'm like, what room are you in Zoom? And they're like, oh, I'm not on Zoom. Okay, well, there's your first problem. You're not here, right? So I can't help you if I can't hear you or see what you're doing. It's not possible. Like, you just want me to, like, hopefully make it up in my mind that I can see what you're doing. I can't. So I've had to battle with a lot of people and, like, yo, get on the Zoom. What does it hurt you? Number one, you get to listen to other people. It's going to make you better because people run into the same situations as you, and you're going to hear how they handled it. Okay, then you're going to learn all the different products, all the different, applications, and just how to utilize the carriers better. So you learn all those things. And again, when you're sitting there and you're presenting, people can listen to you, right? One thing that every single agent always tells me is, like, I did the perfect presentation. It wasn't me, it was the client. And then 2, 3, 4 presentations later, I did the perfect presentation. All 4 of them, they didn't want it. And I'm like, well, let's think about this. There's only one common denominator, because I know none of those people know each other. And it's you. There's something that you're doing, something that you're saying that's completely throwing it off, right? So I've had people jump on, listen to their presentation, and I'm like, why did you say this? And I'm like, do you say that in every presentation? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, there's your problem.
Funny story, dude. I went 40 no sales in a row. Okay?
Jeez.
And you're like, dude, these leads suck. This business sucks. Everything sucks. And then I got this lay down sale that, like, broke my streak, and I went 40 sales in a row.
Jeez.
So then after that, I would always be like, dude, it's definitely me. Because there's no way that could possibly happen.
Yep.
You know, like I'm saying something, I changed something. There's something in my own head that I'm portraying to get people to not move forward.
Yeah. I mean, just one word can throw the whole thing off. Like I had somebody that always asked the clients, which one do you think would work for you? And then he was like, I always get to think about it. And I'm like, well, you just asked him, which one do you think? So you're already telling him, hey, you should think about this instead of, hey, which one do you want to proceed with? Which one works best for you? You're asking him to think about it. So why are you surprised? And it's like, am I saying that? And I'm like, yeah, you say it every time. You don't notice it, right? You hear yourself and you think I did the best presentation. You have somebody else hear you and they're like, you said at least 50,000 times. you pause in weird places. You did this, which was awkward. You said this, which is weird. Your client didn't react to this because of how you said this. And again, people don't notice these things. That's why you need somebody else
to tell you.
And every time they go, I didn't do that. And it's like, yeah, you did. There's like 5 people sitting here or in the room with you who heard you. Like, yeah, you did.
So that's powerful. So Zoom rooms. So I used to not want to dial in front of people because I was worried I would sound stupid.
Yeah.
And then my friends like, dude, your ego's, you act like you don't have a big ego, but you do because you don't want to dial in front of people.
Yep.
And it's all just pride.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
Like, dude, just let it go. Who cares? A lot of people are not good in the beginning. And don't be embarrassed about it. And the more reps you get in, the better you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's what you see, right?
Yep.
And the more confident you'll get.
Yeah. Nobody remembers those things too, right? I remember when I first started, I think it was like a couple months in or whatnot. I had a 44 policy month. And everybody's like, you crushed it. And I was like, I got rejected so many times. You guys not remember that? And they were like, huh, maybe. Like, we don't really remember that, but you crushed it. What do you mean? We heard all the times you wrote, every single time you sold. We heard all those rebuttals you did. And I'm like, you don't remember the million times everybody said no to me? It's like, no, nobody remembers those things. Everybody remembers your success and how well you do. But it's like, yeah, we understand you went through all these little, ups and downs, but they're always going to remember your wins.
Yeah, 100%. Also, what I learned is like, I was just doing a few calls with some agents and I got cussed out. And people were more excited to see me get cussed out than they were to see me make a sale because they were like, oh,
he's human.
Everybody gets cussed out.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. Okay, so I want to talk about this. If you're new and you don't have a lot of money, because our business is, and the reason I'm in this business is because you can get leads and you're not calling friends and family.
Yeah.
Even though I do think you should.
Yeah.
Because it's a product everybody needs.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to have to.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have a lot of money, you can work to age leads, but I want to talk about the psychology of calling age leads for someone who starts that doesn't have a lot of money, because most people don't have a lot of money when they start or they don't want to spend a lot of money when they start.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare your guys mentally to call, let's say they get, $2 leads and they get 100 of them. How do you prepare them to call them?
Well, as far as like preparing them, when you're sitting in the Zoom and you're listening to people write the leads that you are about to get, it makes it a lot easier, right? And it's, people can't complain. You can't, I mean, you're still going to get it. People are going to say, oh, well, this lead sucks, that lead sucks, this lead sucks. And I'm like, okay, go to this person. They did 45 policies last month. Let them know that those leads suck because that's what they wrote on. That's all they did, right? It's, you literally can see it all. So there's no way to complain about leads in general, right? When you're seeing it being written. But and that makes it easy, right? When you're new and you're like, okay, I'm going to be working aged mortgage. I just saw this person, all different people write aged mortgage. Right? And we post, we have a leaderboard, that we post, and it even says what type of lead it was. And so that, again, you're seeing the leaderboard, you're seeing, okay, I see it, aged, right? So the first thing is, a lot of people think that it's not a good lead. Everyone's like, oh, it's not a good lead, but that's all we work. Like what, the 1,000 policies, almost all of it was aged.
Yeah, this is what I think happens with an age lead. So somebody might not do something right away, but life is crazy, dude. So like you could wake up today and find out that, your friend has cancer.
Yeah.
Or you could wake up today and you find out one of your friends died. Or you wake up today and you have some medical scare, or you have some issue, or something triggers you to be like, yo, I put that off, but I should probably start doing it again. And then your phone starts ringing and then you don't answer it because you don't know the number. And then it rings again, and then it rings again, and then you answer and it's Harold Durana. He's like, dude, you never took care of this insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I do need that. And that's what I learned, dude. It doesn't matter the age, because the timing of what happens to people, we don't know.
Yeah.
Or the timing of what they're going through, we don't know.
Yeah.
And so I'm always telling people that, like, it could be a new lead based off of what happens in somebody's life.
It's true.
No matter how old it is. And sometimes, dude, people are just busy,
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, too, is with the aged, in the beginning when they send it out, I mean, some of these people, they send out like 10 different ones. And then they get all these calls from all these different people, and they're wondering why they're getting all these calls. Well, you filled it out 10 times. What did you expect? You did it. You filled it out. You did the call-in. You did the online version. You did all the different versions to do this. So, in the way I look at it is that first, 6 months, it's getting called. And then slowly, once it gets to that 1 year mark, and nobody's calling it anymore. Even when you get to the 2 years, definitely nobody's calling it. So
yeah,
I'm the only one calling. That makes it a lot easier. I have no competition. Who am I competing against?
So you love aged leads.
Aged all day.
That's
all day.
insane.
It's easy. It's cheap. so I talk about that all the time. I'm still Asian, so I still go the cheap route. I still want to be cheap.
Well, you were at the Rolex store earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so for a new agent, that's the way to look at it. Or a seasoned agent, according to you. Like, you're like, dude, I don't care. I'll run through the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got age leads, timing for people. I want to talk about revenue. So, like, for you, this industry's changed my life, but it's not a W-2 job. And I think a lot of people, they can get that confused sometimes.
Yeah.
So this is you running your own business. You have expenses to run this business. You started to recruit and get overrides. You have chargebacks. You have lead costs. You have, I'm assuming, an office, or do you work from home?
From home, my first floor office.
Do you have a lock on that thing? Because I know you have kids.
No, it's like a den style.
You need like a bank vault door.
This is what was allowed for me.
Okay, so you work from home, so you don't have a cost there.
Nope.
But there are expenses, right? And when you get a chargeback, it comes out of your. They pull that out of your next commission check.
Yeah.
Okay. So with all those things being said, what's your biggest revenue month that you like on average? Actually, what's your average revenue month?
It's like a 6 figures every month.
So your gross revenue is 6 figures every month.
Yeah, that's an average. I'm doing it 6 figures every month.
That's insane.
Yeah, last month was a good month. I can say that. Yeah,
good for you, bro. That's why you were at the Rolex store.
Yeah, it was my birthday month too.
Now
so.
you've had issues with chargebacks.
Yeah,
debt. Because I don't like people to see this and be like, oh, that's easy. Anybody can do that. Because you're actually a smart business person.
Yeah.
And you're running a company.
Yeah. The big thing is like, chargebacks. I hear that, chargebacks. Chargebacks comes from training, number one. Like, what are you pitching to the client? Are you pitching the right, plan for the client? And, it's you got to think about it, right? These clients are paying for life, right? Till they pass away, for most of the policies on term or whatnot. But, it has to fit within their budget. And when I go through budget, it's what's your income? What's your expenses? There's your discretionary income. That's what I'm going to use. And my general rule is 10, 15% of that. If they have, they make $5,000, $4,000 is their expenses. There's $1,000 left. I'm going to do something about $150, maybe $100, because I know that that's going to be affordable for them moving forward, right? At the time, it might be like $500 is affordable because I have $1,000 left. But you have to think about it. It might not be next month. It might not be the year later. Things change, right? So I would rather it be that maybe their income went up. Cool. Now I can do a, policy review with them and increase accordingly. But I don't want to put them in an uncomfortable position. That's how you get cancellations. If you're
Yeah.
pushing that envelope, they're gonna cancel. I mean, I would cancel too if it was pushing my budget.
Yeah.
Anybody would.
So you're telling them, let's be conservative on the price.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
So that way you have your cancellations is minimal. It's not, that it's affordable. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's huge. All right. So you are married with 2 kids. How old are your kids?
4. My son's 4. My daughter's 5. Back to back.
Nice. I got a 2 and a 4.
Yeah, it's fun right now.
It is a blast.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you manage all this and be a dad and a husband? And I want to tell you this story before you answer. I was talking to a friend who's like a life coach. I don't know how you get that certification.
Yeah.
But I always wondered that. But dude, they were dropping some good advice with me. And I was like, okay, so after work, I was telling her like I'll come home and then spend time with the kids. And I was telling her how like I'm like, man, it's a lot more work than I thought. That part of it.
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, so work is your first shift. Your second shift is your kids.
Yep.
And your third shift, which is usually starts around like 9, is to make sure you have a good relationship with your wife.
Yeah.
To stay married. So I want to ask this because I think a lot of people, they have kids, they're trying to manage, juggle life, they're trying to juggle staying focused at work.
Yeah.
What do you do to keep all those things in order?
I love it. This is like one of my favorite questions. I do get this one a lot. And number one, it starts with your spouse. Like, I have an extremely supportive spouse. She understands the business, understands what I need to do, understands my goals, and is extremely supportive, right? She knows that, when it's time to work, I have to work, right? There's no like, okay, you know what, middle of the day, let's just take a break. She understands that's just not something I could always do, right? Is if I had to go to an office, I couldn't just leave the middle of the day and just be like, oh, you want to have a 2-hour lunch? Sure, let's do that. She knows. So with that, most important thing is have that conversation. So if you're new and you're trying to get going, you got to have that conversation with your spouse and your kids if they're older, depending on their age, but have that conversation. Okay? And these are the goals. This is what I'm trying to achieve. Here's what it's going to take for me. Here's my hours of operation. All right. So here's my start time and here's my end time. Okay. So, we have our non-negotiable things, like certain things that we do on the weekend, birthday parties, family time. We have weekly family dinners with her family as well. So there's like non-negotiables, and I agree to those, right? I adhere to those things. Like, okay, we're gonna do those things, but this is what it takes for me to be able to do those things. So again, that conversation is had, and also we have this like an agreement that we can do a weekend getaway every single month, okay, or a vacation or whatever it is. Obviously, has to be reasonable. Not like, okay, let's take a whole month off type of thing. But and of course, my kids are in school, so we do something that's family oriented, family time. This is what it is. We can get away somewhere, like a Disneyland for the weekend, or Great Wolf Lodge, or something like that for the weekend. And it's at least once a month. That's all it is. There's nothing else. We're not doing anything else. It's our weekend getaway. And she understands that I have to work towards that. So she knows during certain times, like I'm working. So she knows kids can't come bother me.
Yeah.
So very important.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Okay, so you do that. Now, a lot of people, though, when they're brand new, they do that. And they're not making money yet. Did you do that in the beginning?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, it was rough. It was like, I'm going to have to do these things in order to get to where I need to be. And the thing is that she was there prior, right, at the last practice company too. So she saw what it takes and what I have to do in
But
order
like
to
the
get there.
vacation thing, would you tell a guy who gets his first check to go to Disneyland?
No, no,
Because that's a thing, dude.
no. I
Disneyland
know.
takes producers out like crazy,
Yeah,
man. They get paid, they go to Disneyland, they get a chargeback, they're
yeah.
out of business.
Well, you got to be making a certain amount, or at least have some type of savings or something put away. One thing that with some of the new people I used to tell them is like, don't even think of buying something super expensive or doing a vacation until, like, again, depending on their situation. I'm like, you should at least be sitting on at least $50,000 before you even think of doing anything. Because the worst thing that you can do for yourself is, again, this Disneyland thing is, you make money, your threshold of money, right? You're used to making $5,000 a month, and all of a sudden you make 10, and then you go on a vacation and you spend all of it, and then you come back and you're like, I have no money, and now you're panicking, and now you're not working properly.
Because you're panicking.
Exactly.
And people can smell it over the phone.
Yep. But if you had $50,000 and you're sitting on that, and then you go take a vacation that costs $5,000, you're coming home and you're like, okay, well, I still have money. There's no panic. My bills are still going to be able to get paid. I'm not worried about my rent, not worried about my mortgage, not worried about electricity or anything like that. So you're comfortable still. And then you can work without that stress on your shoulders.
Is your wife in your bank account, like she sees everything you spend?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does she ever, like, why are you spending so much on leads, or why are you spending so much on this? Has she ever done that?
No, because she understands, right? It's the cost of doing business, right? It doesn't matter what type of business you have. There's a cost. You can run a retail store. You have to have inventory, right? That you can't run a business without inventory. I can't do what I need to do without inventory. What am I gonna do? Bug my friends and family and hope for the best? I don't want to do that.
Okay. So this is the thing. Now, let's say someone doesn't have a supportive spouse.
Mm-hmm.
What's your advice there?
Couple of things. Take them to a conference. Take them to a convention. See the bigger picture. Even exposure to
include them.
Yeah, include them. Absolutely. Bring them. Have them again. If that's not accessible, YouTube videos. Watch the YouTube videos of all the different people that we have that are doing well, because we have everybody from everywhere. It doesn't matter what industry they came from. They could be medical field. They could be a server. They could be tech. There's somebody on YouTube that'll explain to you, hey, this is where I came from. This is what I do now.
I always say, if you want to get support, get paid.
Mm-hmm. That's true too. Very true.
Like, just see some deposits drop, and then they'll be like, oh, you actually can skip the barbecue this weekend if you want to go make that. If you want to go call people.
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody does that, this is what I always like to give, like, just kind of an example. Okay. Let's say that somebody wants to get paid fast. You can get multiple states, so you can work leads in all different states.
Mm-hmm.
There's a list. I don't have it, but it's the cheapest non-resident states you can get that I don't have it with me right now, but that we'll send a new agent. And it's like $20 for Wyoming and $30 for another state.
Yeah.
And it gives you the cheapest 10 states. But technically, you could work every time zone.
Yep.
So you could start working at 5. You could call the East Coast if you're on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
At 9, you can call Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And at 9 p.m. and you can dial and tell, or you can call people and book appointments from 9 p.m. to midnight.
Yep.
Right. So you could work, like, if you have enough reps, even if you're not very good, if you were to really, really, really be passionate about making this work, you could get real creative on your schedule.
Yep.
And go help some people.
Yeah. I mean, we have people from all over the place that all different states that work. I mean, that's the beauty of telesales, right? Your schedule. It's you can, if you're in the Pacific, you can run an early morning and start super early, and then vice versa. You can super late, right? I have somebody on my team, Omar Torrio. He has 3 boys. Yeah, he just had a baby. But he's a father, husband. His youngest, or his middle now, is homeschooled. So he's a homeschool teacher. Okay. His kids are active in sports, baseball, basketball. So he's a coach too. So he can do all of these things. and still manage a team and still write business and still do 40 plus months, right? It's how it's efficiency, right? Number one is be intentional when you're working, right? Work intentionally, don't just sit there and twiddle your thumbs, and again, just a proper schedule, and again, like you just said, working all the different time zones, all the way across.
That'd be cool to have like a TAC Hawaii Zoom, just from 9 to midnight. Yeah, I have a friend who has he has a full-time job, and the way I got him to do this was by saying, dude, just work the other time zones and do it in addition to what you were doing.
Yeah.
And then now he's like, dude, I like this better than my other stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, so try to get paid, and I think you can get more support if you get some early wins, which can just take a lot of effort. And then as time goes on, you can control your schedule. You know what to expect. It becomes a little bit more predictable.
Yeah.
It's less stressful. I think the beginning is the most stressful.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah. I usually say like the first 30, 60, 90 is interesting. It'll test you on your work ethic and just your mental fortitude. And,
for sure. Okay. Now, reinvesting. Do you have a formula of like, if I make X, I'm going to reinvest X? Do you like, what do you do there?
I at the last convention, I think it was Jamie Cheerio, he said, I spent $1,000 to make, what is that, 2 million or something, like to write 2 million or something like that. And I it's crazy because I never thought about it like that, but I knew about it, right? Until he broke it down, I was like, wow.
Are you talking about reinvesting the commission? So he started out with $1,000 and then he reinvested his commissions?
Yeah. I never even was thinking about okay, I only spent $1,000 initially, and that was it. And it was like, you have that mindset of like, okay, well, the money's in my pocket, it's mine.
But it's not.
And then now it's like, oh, now I have to put money into the business to go get leads, right?
So you're playing with the house's money.
Exactly, right? But there's that, it's a different mindset. Some people think it's like, okay, well, I'm just putting back what I initially invested versus, well, this is all in my pocket. Now I have to spend again to get leads versus, well, you originally put 1,000, okay? You made 2, put the original 1,000 back. That's a win, right? Yeah,
I want to look this up. So check this out. So our agency for the month, we issued $20 million in annual premium. $20,199,134.21. Okay. That I started out like Cheerio. So I just made an initial lead investment, and then I reinvested my commissions.
Yeah.
Now there was times where I was going to go out. I would have 2 chargebacks, and I would be down to my last $1,000, but it was still my commission money that I would reinvest. But I think about that a lot, where it's like you got pizza shops that someone's going to spend $500K in. To how long is it going to take to get their money back? If you want to run a business,
years,
or doctors that get 2 to $500K in student loans. So it's pretty amazing that you have the ability to do that if you understand that you do have to reinvest that money into your business.
True.
But if you don't understand that, then it can be really hard to sometimes be like, oh, well, I spent money and I didn't get a commission check this week.
Yeah, and that think about that mindset. I spent money. That's the mindset of a lot of people. It's like, I'm spending. It's like, no, you're putting back into your business.
So try to replace that with investing. So replace spending money with investing.
Yeah. And the mindset too is and of course, depending on the person's position, it's like set aside X amount of dollars, and then every single week spend, don't think about it. Just set aside. You already know that this amount of money is going to go into leads. Boom, boom, boom. What hurts a lot of people, I think, is that they get leads 1 week, second week they get leads. They might have a bad week, and then all of a sudden they don't get leads for 2 weeks.
And they're harassing people.
And then they're like, I don't know what's going on. I'm not writing. And then they get leads, but then they get way less leads that 4th or 5th week. And they're like, I'm not writing. And then they all of a sudden, okay, all right, I got to figure it out. And then they get the right amount of leads, and then they write, and then they go back into that spiral. And it's like, yo, do the same over and over and over again every single week. And then when things are getting better, just take an increase. Increase it by 10, 20%.
Yeah.
Until you get to a good number and you know that you're writing whatever dollar it is every single, week.
So we had a guy in here yesterday, and he's like, I want to build an agency, and I want to sell it for $10 to $12 million. And I was like, bro, you got to sell a policy first. And we were laughing. So we go through that, and then he's like, okay, well, how many leads should I get? And I was like, well, think about it like this. The more leads, the more predictable the results.
Yep.
The less leads, the more it's going to be like gambling because you have a smaller pool of people you're calling. So the averages are not going to work out. So do whatever you want. But the more you spend, the more likely it is you're going to win.
Yeah.
The less you spend, the more dangerous it is. Because if you get 10 leads and you don't get a hold of two people tell you they already did it. You do 2 presentations and you don't sell nothing, then you're out. But if you got 20 presentations, then the odds of you helping somebody go way up.
Yeah.
That's
funny that you say that because we're in Vegas right now, gambling, right? And I use this example all the time. Like, you don't go to the casino with $500 and go, man, I hope I walk out of here with 20,000. Like, no. I mean, if you somehow do it, that's crazy. But I mean, you got to be realistic, right? Even because, again, that's the expectation with a lot of agents. They're like, okay, I'm going to spend $500 to write 20. And I'm like, no. Even if you, like, think about it, go to the casino, I bring $1,000 and I walk out with 2,000, that's a win.
Dude, if you walk out with your money.
In the casino, yeah.
Bro, I was just telling my wife this. I'm like, I've lost so much money in Vegas, and I've never got one free comp to anything. Like, they just know I'll just come back anyways. I don't know how I ended up on like that, but some of my friends are like, yeah, dude, I get comped everything. And it's because they lose. They want
to
get
a player's card or something.
Dude, I have one. All right. Next topic. Are you guys doing any IULs yet?
Yes, we have been ramping that up. Yes.
And what do you think? What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, it's a great product. I mean, the thing is that it works for a lot of situations. It's just, I think the reason why a lot of people don't do it is just like any lead type, right? You've never done it. It's uncomfortable, never done it before, no clue what to do, and it just shies you away like, I don't want to do it. Even for me, when I first started, I didn't even want to do mortgage. That's the crazy part. I didn't want to do mortgage. Never done it, don't know anything about it, not doing it. Then I did it, and all of a sudden,
look at you now.
It's the best thing ever.
Okay, so NLG I really like. So I did my kids' policies with NLG.
Mm-hmm. I saw that video.
You saw that video?
Awesome.
And like, dude, if you break it down like that on the illustration, it makes no sense not to do it.
Sure.
It's literally putting money in a savings account, because in the worst case scenario, if the freaking stock market crashes, it never makes $1, they would get all their money. They could cash out the entire thing in like 20 years and get all the money I put into it. And if it grows, it's going to be it could be a huge benefit for them. And they could use it to borrow money and buy a house, or borrow money and start a business.
Yep.
And it's a really cool product. But dude, want to know that what's funny? My favorite thing about it is the stupid app where it's like a bank account. It's like B of A, but it's NLG's app, and you can go in and you can see all the performance. No other company has that.
Yeah.
Like it's legit. So I love that. So IUL's huge. Now, if someone wants to learn, write one on your kids.
Yeah.
Or write one on yourself.
Yep.
Yep. And you learn real quick.
Yeah, we have a guy on our team, Ty Jackson. He's like, I don't know, he's like the guru of IULs. I don't know, he just NLG specific is, him and we go to Devin all the time. Devin Martin, ask him a bunch of stuff, and so it makes it easy when you have somebody close to learn from. Absolutely. But even if you don't, call the rep. Call Devin. Devin's awesome.
Yeah, I always tell people, the carriers have billions and they have sales teams.
That's their job.
And they'll answer the phone and run illustrations for you.
Yeah.
All you got to do is call the number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so IULs, if you're not into that, write one on yourself or learn about it. Because, dude, we're having a lot of success with the IUL Facebook leads.
Yeah.
Like a ton of success with those. And what's interesting is the people that are filling out these ads, because they're targeted towards saving money and having insurance and having living benefits and being able to take loans for their money. The average income is way higher. So they're like, oh, I could spend $200 to $500 or more per month. All right. Do you do any type of reading, like self-development?
Yeah, I do like audiobooks and stuff like that. Like what do I read?
Like what do you read?
So it's funny is we have like a book club style within our team. And we always suggest books and stuff like that. And this book that I've actually preached this book for, I don't know, it's been like 10 years. Somebody had introduced it to me, you know, when I first became a manager in a sense, right? When I started managing a team, and it was The Energy Bus by John Gordon. And that was just the last book that we did for our book club. And it's literally about how you run your agency, and well, it's not. I mean, it's about a business, but
it's a good book.
It's about your mentality, your energy levels. Like, are you positive? Or are you negative?
Or are you an energy vampire?
Exactly. Oh, so there you go. I love that book. It's the most easiest book to read or go through. It's so short, but it's such a powerful message. And recently, I've been pushing it on everybody. Like I'm like pushing it. If you run a team, you need to read this book. You have to, because if you have a team and you want to know why nobody wants to follow you or work with you or anything, you should read the book. You'll probably find out why.
Yeah, and you should also read I think it's called The One Truth by John Gordon as well, which I just read, which is, I think, a must read for everybody. Okay, so you got your guys listening, self-development. The reason I'm asking is because I've had a lot of questions from people lately where they're like, hey, man, like, I'm just not motivated. And they'll be like, I'm new and I need to make money, but I'm just not motivated.
Relentless. That one's a good one.
So what advice would you give to somebody like that?
Well, you got to sit with them. Well, number one, as whoever's kind of brought them into the business, you got to lead them properly. So have a conversation, figure out what their why is. What are they working towards? You know, I have a little piece of paper on my desk. My daughter wrote it, and it says, "You work for me." In her handwriting, she wrote it. And it's on my desk every single day. I look at it. It doesn't move. It's been taped to my screen forever. And I look at it every day. And that's, you know, a reminder to myself, like, yo, why am I doing what I do? Like, why do I work so hard? Why do I really just, you know, sometimes, some of the days, why do I kill myself for this? You know, like, really, but it's for my daughter, my son, my wife, you know, it's for the family to be able to do the things I want to do, right? So if somebody's not motivated, figure out what the reason is. What is it? Why are you not motivated, and what's your why? If you're working aimlessly, you don't have any goals, you're not really working towards anything, then yeah, it's demotivating. What are you working towards? Nothing.
What do you want?
Yeah, what do you want? And again, it didn't have to be monetary goals. You know, for me, it's time goals.
Yeah.
I look at how I operate, and I'm buying time, right? Your time is bought, period, right? Either way, right? So somebody's either telling you how much your time is worth, or you're telling yourself and you're working towards how much time what your time is worth, right? And I'd rather dictate that, right? I'd rather work really hard and then be able to take a weekend getaway with the family guilt-free and not feel bad that I'm taking a weekend getaway, you know, and not working. I'm with the family, I'm having a good time. I bought that time. I worked for it. So to me, that, you know, figure out what it is. Again, doesn't have to be money, doesn't have to be anything like that. It could be time, or just doing things with your family, you know, like vacations with your family. You know, one of the things that growing up, I do spend a lot of time with my family, and I've always wanted to be able to have big family vacations. So I grew up with a big family. You know, back then we did camping, you know, with a whole bunch of families, but it's a little bit different now. I was older, you know. We just had the producer cruise. we were 16 deep. I brought my whole family,
Bro.
but I get to do those things.
Yeah.
Right? I value those things. I like, that's important to me. It's time, being able to spend the time with my family. Even every morning, I take my kids to school every morning. This is a privilege,
bro.
So
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. So I always talked about like, which I think this is still applicable, but people could see you on here and they're like, this dude's got life figured out. He's got everything figured out, right? And I would always say that like every like a couple times a month I would get in what I would call the doom loop where I'd be like, I don't know if this works anymore. Like a bunch of people would tell me no, and I'm like questioning like, was the last like 6 years luck?
Yeah.
And I would call that the doom loop, and then I'd have to break myself out of this negative like cycle of like thinking. Do you ever have anything like that?
All the time.
And then what do you do to break it?
All the time. It's I mean, if you don't go into that, are you really working, right? Or you just kind of
or are you
getting through life,
human?
So yeah, it's rough. And the thing is, for me, is like it's all about what you feed your mind, and I value that a lot, right? So I'm not a big music person. Like everybody's like, you don't listen to songs. It's funny because then like my daughter knows all these songs and stuff, and I'm like, oh, is that new? She's like, no, it's old. So I don't listen to music. But what I do is I feed my mind. I feed my mind knowledge, right? When sometimes it's hard, right? That you're in a negative space. Knowing to go and say like, okay, I need feed myself positivity. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. But that's why you keep yourself always learning, right? So you got to feed yourself either knowledge of a topic. Like I know random knowledge on random things just because like I'll not know something and I'm like, all right, let me learn about it. And then I'll learn about it. But it's feeding me something, knowledge, right? Or even positivity. I'm listening to a whole bunch of stuff, listening to audiobooks and stuff like that. When I'm driving, when I'm doing things, whatever it is I do on a daily basis, I'm always like, if there's in between, I'm cool. I'll do an audiobook. I'll listen to something. I'll watch a YouTube video on something. But you got to feed yourself that, right? Positivity, especially in the morning. That's like the number one thing for me every single morning. I have to start my day at a higher level. Like I'd never want to start my day on an even keel, right? Because if something bad happens, kid spills milk on the floor or something, the cereal spills or whatever it is. If I'm on an even keel, that brings me into the negative space. But if I start my day on a positive note, I fed myself some positivity, something bad can happen. I might be at like a 7 and it'll drop me down 1 notch. I'm at a 6. I'm still good. I'm still positive. Didn't hurt me.
Yeah, that's huge.
Super important.
Cool, man. So you're saying basically that's normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are going to go through that, work through it.
Yeah.
Work on self-development, work on getting better. Do you invest in anything else outside of insurance?
Yeah, Amazon store, do like whatever bit of stocks and stuff like that. A little bit of crypto. I don't know anything about it, but don't take advice on that from me.
Yeah.
I just listen to somebody else.
And the reason I'm asking is because I think this is a good vehicle to use to do other things.
Yeah.
Because let's say you're not like the most passionate person in the world about being a life insurance agent, right? But you're like, okay, this could fund my other passion, whatever that passion is. And I've seen a lot of people do that lately. Yeah.
I believe in that so much too. Like, this is couldn't be just a stepping stone for you to get to where you want to be, and you see it every day. People, got to, like Isaiah Academy. I mean, dude, he's in real estate like crazy, bought a whole bunch of houses. So it can be done, right? I had somebody, in a long time ago, and she wanted to open a yoga studio. She used insurance to fund it. I had another guy wanted to open up a delivery business. Same thing. Use this to fund it. I've had other businesses as well too. I mean, it was funny. We were just talking about vaping. I had a vape store for like 7 years.
And you don't vape?
I do.
Oh, you do vape?
But we were just talking about it. But I had a vape store for like 7 years. But it was all funded by insurance money.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was a hobby. It was something, I did, and I just
Did it make money?
it was self-running. Yeah, I did. But it was cool, right? It was something that I built, and I worked towards. I had partners in it, and I was able to fund it, using insurance money. Didn't have to try to figure out how I was gonna get it, but it made it easy because it was like, hey, you want to try this? You want to do this?
How many years in are you?
This is my 15th year.
Crazy,
But
dude.
I tell everybody all the time, yes, I'm 15 years in, but it means nothing, right? I'm 3 years in on the broker side, right? Being a broker. I'm still a rookie. I'm still learning, right? I'm not better than anybody. I don't know more than anybody or anything like that. To me, I'm still learning. I'm still getting better. I still bug everybody and ask everybody questions.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Learn more.
Well, what's funny is like 10 years ago, we were trying to recruit you. I was like, who's this Harold dude? He's like a myth. Like, I've never seen him. I've never heard from him. But people are like, you got to try to get this dude Harold to work with you.
Oh, yes. I know exactly. Yes. Terrence and...
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, dude, I think you're helping a ton of people, man. I'm glad you're on our team. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I hope this helps some people getting in the industry or that are in the industry. If somebody wants to work with you, they're watching this, they're like, yo, I want to be in his Zoom rooms. I want to go through his training. I like this dude.
Yeah.
How could they reach you? Reach
out to me. Instagram, harold.durana. Call me, text me, 408-750-0705. And I have a habit of, I talk to everybody. Isaiah used to tell me, like, you can't talk to everybody. I was like, of course I can. And I talk to everybody. Might not get you right away, but I will. Because I believe that I owe it to everybody.
You got to pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
You the man, bro. Thanks for coming in, dude.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it.